Hi you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the Block, and I'm here with another weekly video and tip on creating an indoor space that really supports your health and wellness. This week we're going to be talking about the containers and the tools that you use around food prepping and meal prepping. So I love to meal prep. I do everything from snacks to breakfast to dinner, and we get it all ready for the week. When I first started doing this, I used a lot of plastic, and over the years, I have learned so much about why plastic really shouldn't be touching our food. And I'm going to share a lot of that with you in this week's slides. And so I have gradually replaced a lot of my materials with glass, stainless steel, silicone, and I'm going to help you do the same thing with this week's video. I'm going to talk about specific products that you can swap out, and we're also going to talk about why. So we're going to cover these toxins that are in plastic and why it matters to get them out of our kitchen. Now, if you're someone who really likes to go to the blog post, read it, click on the links, delve deeper into the studies and the information that I'm sharing, I would encourage you to head to this week's blog post, which I have linked at the bottom of the video description. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is take you through some slides. They break down this week's blog post into like a video format that's really easy to digest. It's about 10 to 15 minutes, and you'll get all the information you need on swapping out all of your meal prep containers and tools. When life gets busy for me, I literally meal prep everything from breakfast to snacks to dinner. It all gets prepared ahead of time so that whoever cooks dinner can just throw it together. And while I actually really love cooking a meal and taking my time with kids at home, activities after school and work, sometimes we just don't have time to do everything at a slow pace. And so finding a meal prep container full of tonight's dinner ingredients takes all of the stress out of preparing dinner. So I have meal prepped for years, and like I said, I will prep snacks and breakfast too. Anything to make getting out the door easier. But when I first started doing this with my oldest daughter, everything was stored in ziplock bags and plastic containers. I had no idea that there were any other options for meal prep containers out there. And in fact, most everything was plastic, from the containers to the cutting boards to the bags. So while I didn't replace everything at once over the years, I have slowly swapped out my meal prep containers for healthy alternatives. At the same time, I've worked on my meal prep tools and food storage bags to get them less toxic. And even though it felt like I was going at snail's pace, I've gotten a really good handle on my kitchen and meal prep containers and tools. And I really think that although a slow swap can be frustrating, it's really the way to do it. Meal prep containers and meal prep tools can get really expensive. So just make sure you have a plan for which items you plan to replace first and just pick away at it. You can watch for sales and replace just one or a few things at a time. So the first things that should go would be scratched plastic. After that, I would work on plastic meal prep containers that you use to warm food in, and then plastic food bags. So as you slowly replace your meal prep containers with glass or stainless steel, I'm guessing you'll notice that you don't even need as many containers as you currently have. So today we're going to talk about why you should avoid plastic, the toxins in plastic meal prep containers, healthy meal prep container and tool swaps, and then some of my favorite meal prep ideas that are on the healthy side. So let's talk about why plastic and food don't mix. Anytime plastic meal prep containers get warm, they leach even more toxins into food that we'll be consuming. What scientists have found in the last several years is that heat is not actually the only contributor to how fast toxins leach into your food. Other factors to consider are the acidity of food and the presence of certain vitamins, such as vitamin A. So acidity allows the toxins to migrate into food at a much higher rate than food that has a more alkaline base. In addition, the presence of vitamin A has been shown to react with toxins, dissolving them slightly, which increases the migration into our food as well. Scratched plastics are another way that toxins can travel into our food through the tiny, tiny particles that can become dislodged and can enter our food where we consume the plastic pieces. So let's talk specifically about these toxins that we're finding in plastic. Plastic near food, even BPA-free plastic, is something I've tried to avoid completely. And in truth, it's almost impossible to do this. But I do feel much better being able to control what goes in my home and avoid plastic wherever I can when it touches food. So plastic meal prep containers and food containers can leach chemicals into our food, especially when the plastic is heated or scratched. Plastic is made up of so many toxins, more than just BPA, and all of them are hazardous to our health and especially the health of our kids. One of the biggest toxins that is found in plastic meal prep containers is formaldehyde. So formaldehyde is a known human carcinogen and has been linked to leukemia in children. Styrene is another one of the big toxins found in a lot of disposable containers and cutlery. Polystyrene plastic, which is generally opaque in color, contains the highest levels of styrene. Styrene is easily leached into food and migrates at a much faster rate when the food has higher fat content and when food and beverages are warmed. This is also the type of plastic that leaches much faster if the food is acidic or vitamin A is present. Styrene has been linked to issues with low platelet counts, lymphatic abnormalities, behavioral changes like anxiety and nervousness, as well as nervous system disorders. Plastic meal prep containers also contain a toxin called phthalates. Phthalates are an endocrine disrupting component, meaning they alter and stop healthy hormone production. Studies done on phthalates have linked it to early puberty in girls, which is a risk factor for developing breast cancer later on in life. It is an estrogen mimicker and can cause issues with reproduction and healthy development in girls. When PVC is manufactured, dioxin is used in the process. So this toxin has been confirmed as a human carcinogen and has been studied as an endocrine disruptor. The endocrine disrupting that goes on with dioxin is similar to that of phthalates, and in the long run can lead to an increased risk of breast cancer. The hormone disruption has also been linked to developmental problems, reproduction problems, and damage to the immune system. So you might think that just because your plastic says that it's BPA free, it's safe, but this just isn't the case. So when you start to look at the alternative bisphenol toxins that are being used, and I wrote an entire post on the different types that are used to replace BPA, what I found and shared in writing this post is that most of what we found in plastic that has replaced bisphenol toxins still disrupts hormones in adults, kids, and unborn babies. These toxins are estimated to be in 90% of individuals because the body just cannot break the toxin down faster than we are consuming it. So this list of big offenders that are in plastic meal prep containers, bags, and wraps are far from all of them. Anything in a plastic form is best avoided when it comes to food and eating. So let's take a look at some healthy meal prep swaps. As always, the good news is that there are plenty of meal prep containers that you can easily and quite affordably swap out. And while you might not do it all at once, having an idea of which replacements you'll make is so helpful to be prepared with. So first, let's take a look at containers. Opt for glass or stainless steel, metal if you can. If you need disposable, there are also some recyclable, compostable meal prep containers that you can find, and I just found these on Amazon. And all of these are linked in this week's blog post. Another thing you want to try and swap out are plastic food bags. So you can switch to a silicone reusable bag if you can help it. Opt for platinum silicone or food grade silicone. You can also go for a fabric bag that is washable for like dry snacks. Another thing you want to replace are like snack containers. So I really love metal or silicone containers for small snacks that might need to be transported. Remember that food grade silicone or platinum silicone is going to be the safest option. You can also try, if you're looking at a metal, you want to do stainless steel. Another big thing you can change out in your home is plastic wrap. So I actually ditched plastic wrap years ago, and I barely even noticed that I don't have it. You can use a suction silicone lid. You can also use sandwich paper if you're trying to wrap up like a sandwich or something like that, or you can use a beeswax wrap instead. Another meal prep component that we use a lot are freezing cubes. So freezing portions of food is such a helpful thing when it comes to meal prep. It's also a great way to cut down on food waste. We freeze anything from broth and soup to tomato paste for recipes in the future. And I have linked for you in the blog post 1 cup they're called super cubes, or 2 tablespoon super cubes. And we use both all the time. Another thing that you want to look at is your cutting board. So a cutting board is a must for healthy food prep. I personally like flexible cutting boards for fruits and veggies. I did a whole post on cutting boards where you can find all kinds of information and links. I have these linked in the blog post today, a flexible option that is silicone and a solid wood slab that is food safe. So then there's liquid storage. Now this is an easy one. So there's just no better way to store liquids that are prepared than in a glass mason jar. We have tons of jars around because I wash them and save them anytime we have them from a product that we buy. And you can use them to store anything that might spill. We use this on a daily basis in our house. Another food prep thing that I think is a must is a crock pot. So I like to make meals ahead of time, and sometimes we use our Instant Pot or crock pot to just save on time. So 2 really great options are the Vita Clay, which is a completely toxin-free unglazed clay crock pot. I have a coupon code on this week's blog post for 10% off. It's Healthy House 10. The other option is the Instant Pot because its stainless steel insert that cooks food is completely toxin free. And so these are 2 really great tools to have in your kitchen. So I also wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite meal prep ideas. Now, I'm not a chef, but I have taken these ideas from other people and I have run with them. So my friend Shauna at A Little Less Toxic shares how she cooks rotisserie chicken in her Instant Pot and uses the meat for several meals throughout the week. I tried this a few weeks ago, and yes, not only did I use the chicken for weeks, but we made bone broth with the leftovers, and it was a definite must. Another idea is to make 2 meals at once. Many of our meals have chopped up veggies, so I will plan out the week, and if veggies need to be chopped for more than 1 meal, I do it all together. And then the last idea is to repurpose dinner ingredients. So often we actually have leftovers of more than 1 component of our meal. For example, potatoes always seem to be leftovers. Always. If they're baked, we'll make them into another side, like smashed potatoes or twice baked potatoes for a different meal. If we have mashed potatoes left, I love turning them into pierogies for a meal during the week. Chicken, rice, and pasta are other ingredients that can be repurposed when you find that you have leftovers. So once you start pulling plastic from your collection of meal prep containers and start replacing it with healthier options like glass, metal, and silicone, you can really gain momentum and go further in your kitchen. So meal prep containers are a great place to start because they touch our food, and often we use them several times throughout the week. But no matter how you go about replacing your plastic, just know that you're taking a step in the right direction. And if you'd like links for this week's, anything in this week's video, head to the blog post. I have it linked at the end of my video description, and you can get everything there. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you were able to get a little bit of information that was helpful to you, and I hope that you're able to start to slowly swap out some of those meal prep containers and tools. If you have any questions at all, you can feel free to leave a comment, send me an email. Otherwise, I am here every week with a new tip and video on creating a healthy space inside your home, and I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I'll be back next week with another healthy house tip on creating an indoor space that really supports your health and wellness.